everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Q&A. I'm Jenny, and I'm here today with Steve and Paul.
Hello.
Who have agreed to join me in answering all of your questions from qandegg@gmail.com, and actually most of them are coming from our Twitter handle this week. I'm so happy.
Wow.
At Qandegg on Twitter.
I'm completely distracted by those orange and red glasses that you're wearing. Are those Gunnars?
Yes.
Are you sponsored by Gunnars? I've been seeing you wearing these a lot.
No,
in the
I'm
office.
actually wearing these without any sponsorship at all.
Oh, you're welcome, Gunnars.
All right, enough about these. Let's get on to the questions.
Questions.
The first one comes from Leo M, and he says, "Hi, I was wondering what you think about exotic cooling and whether you think it will ever become more mainstream and more used. Thanks, and please keep up the hard work."
Trying to think of a joke including exotic cooling, and nothing came to mind.
I heard you can make a lot of money with exotic cooling. No. I will say, I'm going to say no because it's exotic cooling. I mean, the stuff you see at trade shows and everything, LN2 and like liquid nitrogen, liquid helium, that's just impractical because you can't keep massive stores of that to run all the time. And
You're
you need
just going to
somebody.
have like a 500-gallon canister somewhere next to your computer?
No.
Oh, really?
Apart from that, you have phase change cooling, and that is definitely very viable, and it will do a really good job. It's not quite the same as using exotic chemicals, but phase change units themselves tend to cost just as much or more as whatever processor you're trying to cool with them yourself. So apart from a small group of people, I don't see that really catching on mainstream, so to speak, but you never know. You could see with the advancement of like these $150 closed loop coolers, if somebody could come out with a phase change unit that was somewhat reasonably priced, I mean 150 to 200 bucks, then maybe I could see that picking up a little bit. But I still think it's going to be niche, kind of along the same lines as water cooling.
Yeah, the ooh-ah factor, like that aquarium build you showed me earlier today that we think might have been filled with mineral oil.
I don't know. Yeah, I just retweeted it. I thought it looked really cool.
Was it Luke's?
No, I forgot his name actually on my Twitter. Yeah, apologies. You know who you are.
All right, so our next question comes from @JDT Computers. Question: what are the major advantages and disadvantages of having a single or multi-rail PSU?
Okay. Oh, are you going to ask me?
I was going to let you go.
Right.
I answered the last
because
one.
I don't really know. So I'm going to say that I know that multi-rail would mean that you have ampage dedicated to each rail. And then I would say that if it was a single rail, I know that you have the same ampage to all the different rails. And therefore, with the power supply, I don't really know the major advantages of that. But I'm assuming that if you needed to make sure you had tons of power, when I first bought my GTX 295, EVGA had recommended that I get a 75 amp single rail PSU. And so I realized then, oh, okay, single rail versus multi-rail is better, I guess, because I have more ampage going to my video card.
I generally lean towards single rail simply because it's a simpler means of saying yes, I have a single, because the primary 12-volt rail is what most of the power is going to be drawn from on your system. And you can split it up into multiple 12-volt rails, but usually you have less amperage per rail, which means if you have something like a 295X2 that draws a lot of power from PCI Express graphics connectors, for example, if you overload one of those rails, you have a chance of tripping your overpower protection and your power supply shuts off and your system shuts down, or potentially even worse with cheaper power supplies. The nicer power supplies, from my understanding, do have some means of sort of allowing power to be shared between the rails. I don't want to speak too clearly on this because this is where my understanding of it gets a little hazy myself. But higher quality multi-rail power supplies can provide just as solid power as single rail designs, but from a more of a simplification type standpoint, the single rail is generally easier to go with just from the understanding, and you don't run the risk of, if it's a lower power or a lower quality power supply, of there being any mucking about in there. So usually your graphics card is the one component that will say specifically you need a 42 amp rail providing direct power to this. So that's what I usually go with.
Nice.
Cool. So I hope that helps. I think we've been working on kind of doing a power supply
No, we did. We did a power supply.
Oh, great.
Video.
So check that out. We have a
Yeah.
power supply category video on the page, and I'm sure Paul goes through all of that.
I do talk a bit about that, yeah.
You know, different technologies available in power supplies and stuff. So that'll help you make a better choice about the power supply you pick. All right, our next question comes from @GwenMark, GWN_M4RK. Do images still burn into new monitors, LED and backlit LCD-TN monitors? I actually wonder about this too, because we don't ever really, it used to be a thing to have a fancy screensaver and stuff, but we don't really do that anymore, so.
Yeah, since the CRT days, that's really not an issue. CRTs had problems with that. Some earlier plasmas had problems with that as far as television goes. Pretty much all new technology, TN panel LCDs, any of these types of LCDs will not have problems with burn-in. Now, we had a situation just the other day, one of our cameras we were using to monitor had a burn-in of all of the cameras, like time code and everything on it, but it fades out over time. So whereas it can happen, it's not permanent these days. So really, screensavers and all that kind of thing are more there to save power. For instance, if your screen goes from white to black, a display will use less power, or it's just there for aesthetics, or because they became popular ever since you had the flying toasters back in the day.
Flying toasters.
People still want flying toasters or pretty pictures or that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, and our question of the week comes from, I think it's Cage66 or CAG66. Anyway, he's Cag66. Okay. He tweeted to us about Half-Life 3. He says, "What are your thoughts on this new possible rumor of Half-Life 3?"
Aren't there always a rumor about Half-Life 3 floating around? I don't know.
Add it to the pile.
Yeah. My last understanding from Valve was that they always are working on Half-Life 3 and possibly a Left 4 Dead 3. There's always some project that they're working on that maybe a few people are on, but more specifically just for Half-Life 3, my understanding was that they have a few people still working on it. They never really stopped working on it. That's been kind of the industry topic I've heard come up over and over again. And my understanding of Valve is that they have a really cool, I guess, business model for those who work there and the software engineers that work there, the software developers. Essentially, they can work on whatever projects they want to work on. And my guess is that whoever's working on Half-Life 3 right now really wants to do that.
Yeah.
Just a guess, though.
Lee Min, as of yesterday, actually went on some Twitch channel and said, something along the lines of, if I said we were working on Half-Life 3, I don't think it would really surprise anybody. But he starts that sentence with, if I said.
Yeah. I guess maybe that's the safest way to answer something like that.
So Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Kind of.
Maybe. Anyway, we will be at E3 next week, Steve and I, and we will try to uncover some dirt, some hard dirt on Half-Life 3. Is it happening or not?
If I bump into Gabe Newell, I'll be extremely excited. That'll be amazing. Yes, that would be my highlight of E3 actually. If I actually bumped into Gabe and was like, "Oh my God, it's a homeless person."
No,
it's not.
you can't physically touch him, Steve.
Oh, is that what it is?
No.
Okay.
Your body would dissolve into a powder, and then his radiance would shine all the brighter.
Is that what happened? So I heard at CES he was there just completely unshaven. Just one writer had said that, or one author had written an article about it and said that a homeless man walked on stage and then started talking to us about Steam OS boxes, and I don't know. I just thought that was pretty funny.
All right.
Anyway,
this week I've got some more homework for you guys.
I hate homework.
Well, you guys.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't get much response about what you guys would like to see from us at E3, so we're going to just kind of wing it. We did get a couple tips, and we will see if we can implement those, so thank you people who write in. What I want to put out to you guys is just questions about what do you think about Newegg TV. Whenever we ask about what do you think about our content, everybody writes in, "Oh, we like your content, and keep it." Like, great, but what are some other things you might like to see us do? Do you want to see us do more silly, funny, creative things like Yolk'd? Do you want to see more diversity on the Alt-Tab show? Do you want to see more gaming stuff? Like, tell us what you want to see. We want to make you happy. And that's it. So you can tweet to us at Qandegg on Twitter, or you can write into Qandegg@gmail.com.
Cool.
Do it.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode of Qandegg, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.